Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, President Trump's plans for an Iron Dome for America, and a committee of presidential AI advisors sign off on 10 priority recommendations for the White House. It's Thursday, January 30th, 2025. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's dive into the day's top headlines. President Donald Trump issued an executive order on Monday night tasking the Pentagon to build a plan for a multilayered missile defense system underpinned by both space-based sensors and interceptors. Under the directive titled Iron Dome for America, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is required to develop a reference architecture, capabilities-based requirements, and an implementation plan to address emerging aerial threats against the U.S. homeland. The strategy, due to the president in the next 60 days, must focus on defense against ballistic, hypersonic, advanced cruise missiles, and other aerial platforms. The executive order states that, quote, over the past 40 years, rather than lessening, the threat from next-generation strategic weapons has become more intense and complex with the development by peer and near-peer adversaries of next-generation delivery systems and their own homeland integrated air and missile defense capabilities. The directive comes after Trump promised to create a Great Iron Dome shield over the United States in June during his presidential campaign, referencing the Israeli air defense system built by Rafael. While Israel's capability is designed to intercept short-range rockets and artillery, it's clear that Trump's vision for America's own Iron Dome shield considers a greater range of threats and technologies. Notably, the order calls for development and deployment of proliferated space-based interceptors stationed on orbit that can defeat ballistic missiles during the boost stage of flight. Several analysts spoke to Defense Scoop about the executive order and what's next, which you can read about on defensescoop.com. In other news, an artificial intelligence advisory panel created during the first Trump administration is delivering the president a list of 10 actionable AI priorities to pursue as he begins his second term. The National Artificial Intelligence Advisory Committee, established under Section 5104 of the National Artificial Intelligence Initiative Act and signed into law by President Trump in 2020, voted Tuesday in favor of a 10-priority draft document of, quote, timely AI policy issues and proposed solutions. The recommendations laid out in that document, the committee said, should, quote, provide an opportunity for the administration to achieve its goals to advance the United States' continued AI leadership and competitiveness. The 10 recommendations from NAIAC, which has only been operational during the Biden administration, cover AI awareness and literacy, workforce, education, health, government, governance, law enforcement, science, and small business, as well as AI for the American people. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, make sure to visit fedscoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back tomorrow with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.